The young and the restless, Sally warns Audra, Victoria wants her father to back off, and Claire agrees to consider Kyle's idea. All products and services featured are independently chosen by editors. However, soaps.com may receive a commission on orders placed through its retail links, and the retailer may receive certain auditable data for accounting purposes. At the ranch, Victoria greets Victor, and they go over Nick's update that Sharon and Phyllis kidnapper being Tracy's fiancé, Alan Lawrence's brother Martin. Victor notes he's the same one who terrorized Ashley. They're glad to hear he's been arrested. Victor sighs that it was Jordan, Ian, and now Martin. When will this family ever catch a break? Victor says the Newmans are survivors. Bring it on. Victoria just can't forget that Jordan told Claire her death would haunt her forever. She's glad her daughter has Kyle to lean on. Victor barks that she shouldn't lean on Kyle Abbott. She should lean on her family. Victoria confronts Victor about trying to break up Kyle and Claire. He makes her happy. Victor says he knows the Abbotts better than anyone. The relationship will not work out. They bicker about Kyle's past relationships. Victoria admits that they haven't lasted, but she blames Summer for being manipulative. She thinks Claire is a good influence on Kyle and they may have a future. Victor asks why he's the only one who sees this relationship as the potential disaster that it is. Victoria warns her father if he keeps this up, he could lose Claire. He says that won't happen. Victoria says, "Well then, you could lose me." It breaks her heart to think of his bond with Claire being broken. Kyle's not going to hurt her. Victor's sure he'll show his true colors very soon and will break her heart. He doesn't want her to go through any more suffering. "Don't you understand my logic?" Victoria asks about his gunshot wound. He's feeling stronger, which makes her feel relieved. He thanks her and Nick for taking over Newman while he recuperated. He knows much of the responsibility fell on her shoulders given he was dealing with Sharon's ordeal. Victoria's just glad she's safe. Talk turns to Cole. Victoria says he's happy, but the job involves a lot of travel. She reminds her father that he had an issue with him being in her life. Victor shrugs. Things change. Victoria hopes he'll one day change his mind about Kyle. Victor said all he has to say on the subject. Claire walks into Crimson Lights and Kyle pulls her onto the back patio. He tells her he missed her. It's been an eternity since last night. They kiss. Kyle gets coffee and brings it back to the table, and they banter about him wanting to steal her whipped cream and how much he missed her. He surprises her by suggesting it might be a good idea for her to move in with him. "If I did ask you, would you say yes?" Kyle asks Claire how she'd feel about living together. She tells him it feels too soon to be talking about this. It's a big move. Claire thinks their relationship is great, but it's new. How well do we really know each other? Kyle thinks one way to get to know each other better would be to live together. He asks her to just think about it and imagine what comes to mind. She wonders if this would happen at his house with his parents and Harrison, or in the tack house on Victor's property, or would they get their own place? Kyle asks what would feel best to her. They go back and forth as she teases about Kyle living in the tack house. Kyle thinks the consensus is getting their own place. He winks. "I know a realtor." Claire repeats that they just started dating and it's a big step. She thinks there's something else they have to discuss. "My grandfather." At the club, Audra tells Sally she has news. Her life may be getting busier. Sally asks if Nate proposed. Audra says no, her status hasn't changed. Sally says getting married isn't on her radar either. Audra explains that she has a solid new job prospect. Sally wants to hear all about it. What's the company and the job? Audra hedges that she's been offered a deal from Victor, a sort of bargain with the devil. Sally can't understand why Audra would ever go work for Victor again. Her friend says she doesn't exactly have a lot of options. Sally reminds her he double-crossed her for Glissade. Audra wants to tell her about the offer and warns her not to share this with anyone. She says Victor offered her the chance to run a division at Newman Enterprises. Sally asks why she'd willingly get involved with that bargain with the devil. She asks what he wants in return. Audra says he wants her to lure Kyle away from Claire. Sally gawps, "Are you kidding me?" She hopes the answer to that would be hell no. Audra argues he just wants a little impropriety and in exchange, she'd be able to run a division at Newman. Sally says it comes with way too steep a price. Why would she even consider it? Audra hasn't agreed yet. Sally wants to offer her a position in her game. She recaps that this may be her only chance. It feels like there's a do not hire list with her name on it. Sally says Victor may have started it himself. She asks if her friend wants her to just listen or respond. Audra values her opinion. Sally doesn't like it, it's disgusting. Audra insists she can control what happens with Kyle. She's dealt with much worse. This makes Sally sad. She feels this seems like way more than a compromise. Audra understands Victor's motivation. He doesn't want his granddaughter dating Kyle, who deserves to get played. He fired her with no qualms whatsoever. Sally reminds her Victor threw her under the bus as well. Why would she align with him again, especially under the worst of circumstances? Sally warns this is dangerous and asks Audra how she'll protect herself. Audra will get something in writing to make sure Victor can't go back on his word. Sally's sure he'll toss her aside if he has to. She holds the cards, until she doesn't. Audra says Kyle's an easy target. Sally reminds her she seduced him before when his marriage was falling apart. Audra says they're more alike than Kyle likes to believe. Sally thinks he kind of hates her. Audra muses that there's a thin line between love and hate. All she has to do is put Kyle in a compromising position. Sally asks, "What about Claire? Do you think she deserves this?" Audra would be doing her a favor. Victor's right. Kyle's a player and the sooner she knows the better. Sally asks what she'll do when Nate finds out what she's up to. Audra insists Nate won't find out what's going on. Sally asks why she would risk it. Audra insists things are going great. Sally asks, so why ruin it? Audra admits he saw her with Victor recently. She told him that Victor was fact-finding, but she didn't mention the job or the Kyle part. Sally asks if she really thinks it's fair to do that to Nate. Audra insists she won't betray Nate. Sally warns she's playing with fire. Audra replies, "But I won't get burned." She insists Nate won't have to find out. Sally pivots to Holden and reminds Audra that Nate cares about her and wants her to let him in. Audra can handle herself and can pull this off. Sally warns it could blow up in her face. Audra can't afford to turn this opportunity down. She'll tell Nate that she's working for Victor, but nothing else. She appreciates that Sally cares enough to be honest. Sally asks her to please watch her back. Don't get yourself into a corner you can't get out of. Audra's got this, she has to. At Crimson Lights, Kyle tells Claire they can't let Victor affect their happiness. She just wishes they had his support. Kyle doesn't think this is about Victor hating his father. They can't let his negative attitude affect what they do. Claire asks if he wants to move in together to prove a point to Victor. Kyle denies it. Claire apologizes, but moving in together could set him off. Kyle's willing to take that chance if she is. Claire's still holding out hope that he'll change his mind, but if they move in together, there will be fallout with him. Kyle hates to see her twist herself into knots to please Victor. She counters that he'd do it for his mom or dad. She just wants her grandfather to like her boyfriend. Kyle doesn't want her to feel pressured about living together, but he likes the idea of them having their own place. Claire teases him and says she'll think about it. Maybe in the meantime, her grandfather will come around. Kyle thinks she's living in a fantasy world. They kiss. At the ranch, Victoria wants Victor to promise he won't do anything to try and ruin Claire's relationship with Kyle. Before he can answer, the doorbell rings. Victoria opens the door to Audra and asks what she's doing there. Victor says they have business to discuss. "I'm offering her a job at Newman Enterprises." Victoria leaves them to talk. Audra tells Victor she's thought about his proposition. Her answer is yes, but she wants an ironclad business agreement in place. Also, she doesn't want to run a division at Newman. She wants him to fund her own company, like with Glissade, but this time she doesn't get tossed aside. It's part of her strategy with Kyle. Victor grins. "You drive a hard bargain, don't you?" He accepts, but it's incumbent on her opening his granddaughter's eyes to the kind of man Kyle really is. Audra says, "Consider it done." Victor replies, "Then we have a deal."